Hello, hello, and welcome to Why Emotions Matter. Why do emotions matter in the workplace? I recently met a leader of an organization who said to me, I ask my employees to leave their emotions at the door. They can come to work for a holiday. Now, let's really have a think about that. Can you leave your emotions at the door? What happens if you try to leave your emotions at the door? We're human, and the workplace is full of emotions. The workplace has an emotional culture. And my question to you is, in your business, is your workplace emotional culture working for you, or is it being silenced? Because it will be doing one or the other. It is there. It does exist. So let me just give you a couple of statistics, just to give you a flavor of the impact of positively supporting, co-creating a strong and desired emotional culture within the workplace. Employees who agree with, I feel connected to my company's culture, are 4 times more likely to be engaged. 4 times. That's huge. If you have 1,000 people, think how many people are going to feel engaged of that 1,000 people. It's massive. And another figure for you, only 18% agree that their organization has ingrained emotional intelligence within their culture. So 18% of organizations, according to Gallup, have said that that they believe that their organizations have an emotionally intelligent culture. Now, the thing is, emotions within the workplace, we have our culture, we have our emotional culture, and we have our cognitive culture. Now, the cognitive culture are, values, mission statements. They are the aspirations of the business. And sometimes you might see them on billboards at the front of you might see them at billboards at the front of reception areas. But actually, really, are you connected to those values? Is your organization connecting their employees to those values? And the way we do that connection is through emotions. That's the reality. Reality is emotions drive behavior. So if you are in a position where you don't believe that emotions are playing a part in your organization, then you unfortunately are sorely mistaken. Now, you might not see this straight away, but some of the impact to your organization and some of the challenges that you may be facing are psychological safety. Your teams might not feel comfortable speaking up, And that could be because there's a power play going on within a meeting that is unspoken, because it's how people feel. And when that happens, you're losing valuable, good ideas. Disconnected leadership. As a leader, how connected are you with your teams? How connected are your teams with each other? And that connection starts with emotions. And when I say that, what I mean is, have you ever thought about asking your team, maybe, how do you want to feel to be successful this week, next week, during this period of change? And what are those feelings that you're feeling and you want to feel in order to be successful? Maybe it's you want to feel thoughtful. Maybe you want to feel open. There are a plethora of feelings that you might want to feel in order to be successful. Maybe you want to feel appreciated. But at the same time, I'm going to ask you that there will be the flip side to that. What don't you want to feel in order to be successful? But you might from time to time. So maybe you don't want to feel overwhelmed. Or maybe you don't want to feel confused. And behind every single one of these feelings is a story about why you don't want to feel it. And that story is a conversation that, when shared within a team, builds energy, it builds connection, it builds synergy, it improves team dynamics. When you talk about emotions in the workplace, what you're also doing is you're moving from what is a transactional dynamic to a transformational dynamic, because you're talking at a deeper level. And what you're also doing is you're engaging your people, because you're moving away from emotional disconnect. Have a think about that Friday night feeling when you know that you've got the weekend ahead of you and you think, this is amazing, I feel great, I've got the whole weekend ahead of me to do all these amazing things that you might want to do. Get to Sunday night. How are your people feeling about coming to work the next day? Have you ever asked them? Maybe now is the time to ask them. Maybe now is the time for you to ask that question. How do you want to feel next week in order to be successful? So let's just consider acknowledging emotions and the power of acknowledging emotions. We've spoken about suppressing them, and actually suppressing emotions is a space where you're not validating them, and you're not actually validating the person's lived experience within the space. But when you're on the flip side of that and you're validating emotions, what you get is connection within the team. So firstly, you've made them visible. The emotion is visible. Secondly, you've given it validation. And when you give validation, you're validating a person's lived experience. It may not be the experience that you see, but that doesn't mean it's not that other person's lived experience. I can often see this when somebody says, I feel lonely, or I feel isolated, or I feel it's difficult to speak up in meetings. And the perception from other people is totally different. They may look upon you and say, well, I always see you with people, so how can you feel lonely? But remember, feelings are about your personal lived experience, and no one can take that away from you. They are your experience. And what we want to do in business is we want to be able to share these feelings so that we get to know and make a better communication, have better conversations with one another. So we've got visibility, validation, we've got when you've given visibility and you've given validation, what you actually then get is making those emotions visible, and that gives you data. You get data. It's valuable. It's valuable to the organization. It's data about what is happening within the business. So from a business perspective, it's very important. But that's the first V, visibility. Second V, validation. Third V is value. And, what we really, really want is to create value from these emotions that we're bringing out into the business, so that we're co-creating and shaping a space where your employees really, really want to be, where they want to show up, where they get to a Sunday night and they think, yeah, I can't wait to be at work tomorrow. And all of that creates value to the team, particularly. So at ThriveWell Global, what we do is we support organizations with co-creating and shaping strong emotional cultures. Strong emotional cultures that support the business, that align with the cognitive values of the business, and that boost engagement, productivity, and performance. It's also really, really important during periods of turbulence and change that emotions are addressed and spoken about, because we have better conversations in that space, which then means that the change piece is far, far better supported and bought into because we buy in with emotions. So I just want to leave you with one final thought, and that is just a reminder that as a leader, it is critical that you are seen to be upholding the company's values, but also that you feel connected to those values, the company's values, and you connect to your company's values through emotions. And, remember that figure that, 4 times more employees agree that when they feel connected to the company's culture, they are more likely to be engaged. Thank you for sharing this short 10 minutes with me today, and I hope to see you on our next live. Thank you.